This memorial is a double memorial to remember there's over 65,000 Austrian Jews killed by the Nazis, and second, as an accusation against the Nazis, a warning for the murderers of tomorrow.
This was really not the right plaster. Plaster's expanded. Now we just got to break the profile. I looked at the plaster and said, Mr. Baumüller, this is wrong. And he would not accept that it was wrong. So I eventually made the piece and said, okay, this is wrong, look at it. He still wouldn't admit that it was wrong. Yes. I mean, things can only get better with him, that's for sure. They can't get any worse. It was a good experiment to do this. It just gives a sense of scale. For me, it's the first time I've actually made the piece to scale in a way. You know, it's really a bird's eye view of it, but it gives you some sense of what the piece can be like. But from this, I've decided that the ceiling rose, which I'd suspected, isn't quite big enough. So I'm just going to make it 1.5 meters instead of about 1.25 meters wide. I'm using concrete for all sorts of reasons, that it can be poured, that I'm used to using materials that are wet, that it can be cast. I didn't want to make it in something like marble where it had to be carved, or granite that had to be carved. I wanted to use something that had an urban physical presence and that wasn't grand and that isn't humble, you know, that has this, it's a language that everybody knows, everybody sees it everywhere. People don't necessarily like it, and people take concrete for granted. But I think if it's used well, it's an absolutely beautiful material. That process will be done twice.